YouTube, it's Brian Phillips, Top Light. Look at this little P-39, amazing. Multiple liveries. This thing is capable of being bound in multi-protocol. Was it V761 or DSM or S-Bus, but you have to add a satellite receiver for that. We'll show you that in our P-47 video. If you want to see that in the 402 millimeter P-47 video. This is the P-31. We are going to, or excuse me, the P-39. And we're going to fly it with the provided, ready to fly. It's got the acro button. Press it, pull back. It'll do a loop. Press it, press to the right on the aileron, and it's going to roll to the left or to the right, depending on which direction you go. That's expert, mid, and beginner. And I probably need to arm it. So all the way up, all the way down, and it's armed. Here we go. Woo! Okay, so as you can see, breakaway prop. And believe me, guys, we don't plan for that to happen, but it does demonstrate one of the biggest benefits of this. Some guy should probably cut his grass, I think.
Maybe.
Camera crew, if you would hold that, please. So this is one of the biggest benefits of these planes. Roll it on, boom, done. Comes with a spare prop, super easy. Let's hand launch. Very easy. Not enough elevator, so we either have to trim. Good. So in beginner, it's very shallow. Feels like the elevator wants to pull it down. Boy, that thing blends in, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Looks pretty good.
It does.
Definitely not enough elevator. Very spongy on the controls. Let's press the aerobatic button and then back. Press and hold, and then, okay, so it did a roll. That's a little bit unusual. I was definitely giving it elevator. There's a loop. So that's full throttle. And yes, it did turn to the left a little bit. So I have kind of lost my orientation somewhat because of the sun. Oh my goodness. Pushing down on the elevator. Okay, there we go. Now I can slow down. Beautiful looking little plane, but also gonna disappear into those green trees. Looks a lot like a P-40 when it's flying at this attitude.
Are you still in beginner?
I am in beginner.
Okay.
I'm gonna try an expert here in just a second. It's probably gonna jank up really bad, so let's go into intermediate. Here's intermediate. As you'll notice, it will not let me flip over, or does it? I can't tell. So I'm just turning. Okay, let's go to expert. Whoa, that's wonky as all get out. Okay, it's actually flying pretty reasonably well. It's not near as bad as we've seen from some, but obviously with no expo and very spongy, kind of cheap sticks on the ready to fly transmitter, we don't get quite the precision that we would like. But I gotta say, it's actually not bad. It's one of the first top flights we've had that'll actually go ahead, and we did a high-speed stall. I don't know if you guys could tell, but I rolled and then I tried to pull out of it, and evidently I got the G-forces too high, high-speed stalled it, and that's why it went into the ground. Let's go see if it's damaged. My guess is it's probably not damaged. Also, nose gear needs a Phillips screw, and the screwdriver comes with it if you don't have one. So this truly comes with everything you need to fly, including the batteries in here. Okay, so real quick, damage assessment. There is no damage. That's good. I would suggest for you guys at home, take that, put it to the inside hole, get a little extra throw on your elevator. I am in the middle hole. By default, that's where it comes. And let's do a wheels up, wheels down, and just really be disciplined to not crash this time. Okay, so I'm gonna go that way where the driveway tapers off, and we'll see if we can get off the ground now that I have my trim set back quite a bit. Okay, we're in beginner now. Woo! See, very, very wonky on the ground. There is no steerable nose gear. There is a rudder though. And the rudder is somewhat effective, but the problem is it wants to push down like this, okay? By the way, this is a great shot of how tall our grass is, demonstrating how it needs to be cut by yours truly. So we're gonna see if we can get this off the ground. As you can see, I think it's got something to do with the thrust angle. It's wanting to pull it down. So let's try one more time. We'll see if we can get this thing to go. In beginner mode, I'm gonna go to expert just to see if I can get off the ground. Oh, there we go. Okay, into beginner. Beautiful, guys. Different angle here for you. Absolutely gorgeous. Camera crew, pick a side, please. Thank you. I would suggest staying on the concrete. So folks, we have these beautiful clouds tonight, and so Mother Nature has really given us a beautiful evening for filming. If you want to help support Brian Phillips RC, look no further than buying these planes from the links in the video description below. I don't know if I would necessarily suggest buying this particular plane or not. I'm going to let you guys make that decision, but I can tell you this, it does look good flying, but as you can see, I barely made it over the house, okay? So as you can see, it definitely flies. It's not like a super hard fly. It's fly by suggestion. The Top Flight RC lineup has been just another variation of the 400 millimeter Warbird series. It's got a couple of the details improved upon that we didn't have before, like a little bit thicker landing gear bogies, which is nice. I'm gonna do an inside pass, so take 4 more steps forward. Thank you. And then what we've got different is the input so that you can use DSM and you can also use S-Bus, which is cool. We had a couple of planes at one point that did that, but they were bigger planes. This is the 400 millimeter Warbird series, and it's actually 402 millimeters. The 450 is the bigger size where we've run into some conflict. Let's see if we can get a landing here now. Whoop, that was full up elevator. I did not have enough elevator to pull it out of that dive. Now, that being said, let's talk about the features of this plane. One touch aerobatic, it's actually not. You have to press and then pull, press and then push, press and then push, and it does them. It also has a one touch U-turn. Don't use that feature. If you think you're gonna need it, just plan on not having it because it's not gonna work when you need it to. So it's better not plan on a feature that's not going to solve your problem than to plan on it and have it not execute. I would suggest highly not doing that. So let's go ahead and grab the prop. Let's see if we can fly for a little bit longer. Beautiful evening. I like this plane for its looks. They are getting better. They're getting more beautiful, but they're definitely doing something with the gyro that I'm not crazy about. Now, that being said, are you gonna learn to fly on this plane? Absolutely not. Not this one. If you know how to fly, you can probably fly it. If you don't know how to fly, you might be able to fly it, but you're gonna need a big open space. This is pretty tight. It's about as small as you can do with this particular plane. There's just not enough elevator authority, and the thing high-speed stalls way too easy. It's also quite heavy for its size. I'm surprised how heavy it is, okay? So we're gonna take back off. You're fine there, just stay there. Okay, I'm gonna go back to expert so I can get the elevator to work. So let's try some expert flying. Oh, I've hit a brick wall now. We're gonna go up there and see if we can check it out. Okay, so as you can see, the controllability is somewhat minimal, okay? Rough edges here. Now, not necessarily the plane's fault that we hit a brick wall, but I can definitely say this. The controllability leaves a lot to be desired. And so if you expect to fly this thing as a beginner, I would suggest you're probably going to be disappointed, okay? Now also, let's talk about price point. Oh, hold on. It doesn't want to go in, probably because I pushed back the, nope, we're good. Oh, and there's also an access hatch here where you can get to your motor. Look, I also hit the prop. Let's see if it flies still. That's not so bad. Remember, I'm an expert. Now I'm back to beginner. So if you expect to fly this thing as a beginner, I'm just going to give you your suggestion. I would suggest that this plane is probably something you might be able to fly, but it's not going to be as easy as you want it to be. Okay? So if you want something that's easy, there are easier planes in the lineup of 400 millimeter Warbirds. Also, I gotta say, there's not enough elevator to keep the thing level. So as you can see, I hit the grass. I hit the nose. I couldn't get it to the runway. You have to fly so fast just to keep the thing flying. But in order to fly fast, you're not gonna be able to land. So you run into this difficult situation where you really want to try to get the thing down, but you just have a hard time doing it. Now you can have a huge runway. This is a big runway for a plane this size. But the thing is, you're gonna have a hard time getting it down, okay? So let's talk about this. In beginner, I'm gonna try getting off the ground this time. Hopefully we can see good. And I must say, the olive drab finish blends into the trees badly on this application. Now, we are admittedly at sunset, but we fly at sunset a lot on Brian Phillips RC. In fact, we do a lot of our flying, most of our flying at sunset, because we love flying during that time because it calms down. Okay, as you can see, one of the other problems you run into is it wants to veer. There is no steerable nose gear, so what you find yourself doing is trying to twist to correct, okay? There's not enough rudder authority to correct for the P factor if you weren't dealing with just the steerable nose gear. But once you get your airspeed up enough and you're on the ground still, it's not even airspeed, the rudder goes live and you can't actually turn it, but it wants to turn it into the ground, okay? So we'll talk about that again. See how far it's going? I can't get enough airspeed. And the prop came off. So we're gonna get this reset and try again. Okay, so as you can see, we finally got it off the ground. That's 37 by 37 approach roughly, maybe 37 by 40 rather. But at a diagonal, you can do the math and figure out what the hypotenuse of that triangle would be. It's maybe 40 to 50 feet somewhere in there. But what I'm gonna definitely say this is once you get the thing tamed and it's going in a circle, it's pretty fun. It's nice to look at, but you're not gonna get that hobby grade flight experience that you expect to get. It's just not gonna be there. You're gonna have a flyby suggestion experience, which is, you know, I mean, it's not a terrible experience. I think that my kids like flying this way because they don't really have to fly much. And that's 50% throttle there, by the way. And with throttle, you really have to use and incorporate the throttle into your elevator call out. So that's full up elevator, look at that. Look how slow it is. That's full down elevator. It's not easy to fly because as you give input, it's very spongy, like too spongy. Okay, going to the intermediates, it's like they put on Expo and they put in a servo that just doesn't have enough resolution to do what needs to do. And then of course I fly it at time where it disappears badly. That's my own bad. See how it's not porpoisey. It's just, I'm gonna try to show you this, guys, okay? So you see full throttle, okay, push down, pull up. You see how slow it is to respond? What they've done is they've taken all the flight characteristics they think a beginner needs help with, and they've just basically forced the plane to do those things, okay? That's not the way you want a plane to respond. You want the plane to have some stabilization, but it's like they've decided they're gonna make it hold way too hard. And it's like the flyby suggestion model gets exemplified badly on this particular style of plane, okay? When you fly by suggestion, what I mean by that, if you're not already aware, is you say, okay, I'd like some elevator, please. And then the flight controller is like, you've been holding it for a good 1/10 of a second. I'm gonna start giving you a little bit of elevator. And I'm like, okay, well, I still want elevator. And then it's like, okay, we're gonna give you another little bit of elevator. And then eventually it's like, okay, well, he obviously wants that elevator all the way back. And then it's gonna climb. But it's like by then you've already hit the thing you were trying to avoid. You need response. You need input response with these airplanes. And so it's very frustrating as a pilot to try to fly a plane by suggestion. Now, that being said, there are aircraft that you can fly by suggestion. And usually they're like little drones that you're flying in your living room and nobody cares. It's not that big a deal. It's not that hard. But when you're flying an airplane, there's consequences. And the consequences come in the form of trees, houses, brick walls, people's face, dogs, cats, cows, fence posts. And that's part of the reason why I'm disappointed by the flight performance of this plane. Now, where am I happy with this plane, okay? And I know it sounds like I'm being pretty harsh on it because I am, okay? Where I'm happy with this plane is limited. That is it's very nice looking. They are a lot better looking than they were on our first variants of the 400 millimeter Warbirds that we flew. However, This flight controller leaves a lot to be desired in the gyro arena. Until you've flown it, and if you listen to our competitors, they're probably gonna say, best under whatever. Okay, truth is, now I'm not trying to put words in anybody else's mouth, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. We've flown easier to fly, we've flown faster, we've flown slower, we've flown easier to land, we've flown better looking, but this thing is an airplane and it does fly. So without saying it, I hope I've just said it for you. By the way, they do have a simulated gun on the nose. That's pretty cool on the spinner. So what I'm gonna say is they've done a good job of making a pretty plane that's gonna stand up to hitting a brick wall, which is pretty impressive. And they've made a plane that will actually fly in a circle and do a pretty good job of it. So long as the circle's big enough and there's nothing changes in the circle, like wind, or like a heavy thermal action, or like a bird, or anything that needs to be avoided. What have they done right on this plane? They gave us S-Bus and DSM. But what good is that gonna do you if the flight controller is here? So really what's happening is you have the ability to put a really nice gimbal on a plane that the gimbal is being ignored by the flight controller anyway. So any precision gained is immediately lost. Okay, so hopefully you guys are getting what I'm laying down because I'm putting it down pretty thick. This plane looks nice and it looks like it's going to work just as good as the others. Also has some beautiful squishy tires. Also tricycle, super fun. We don't get a lot of tricycles. Also 2 full spare props and spinners, as well as one more of the receptacle that goes on the inside right there. Okay, so that's actually pretty nice. They did that right. Also, we got AA's in our transmitter, but again, like, really, is that a big deal to me? I'd rather spend a little bit less in shipping and just go buy my own AA's. Also, they have that little anti-choking screw, which just annoys me. Like, if you can break the rules, Chen, just break that rule, please, because that's annoying to me. Okay, so what else is good about this plane? The scale appearance of the gear is better than what we've seen on some planes of this echelon and size class, but they're still pretty much ugly. Okay, so I'm gonna take them off and fly the plane, and that's gonna tend to be better in terms of looks and flight performance anyway. So just keep that in mind. Those are a lot of things. Also, no throttle cut, and it didn't start the prop, but I caught it in just a certain way, okay? There is a lanyard mount on this ready-to-fly transmitter, just so you guys know. And then also, the other thing is some of you guys are thinking, well, sub 250. I didn't measure how much this weighs. Pretty sure we're in that arena, okay? So we may have to do that in the Unbox camera crew because we didn't earlier. So that's a lot of information. It's a lot of opinion. But what it does is that it looks pretty good and it actually does fly and it is actually resilient to damage. But I would far better have a plane that's easier to fly. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit more likely to blow up in 7 pieces, but I can control it. Because if I can control it, I can avoid the obstacle, I can avoid the accident, I can actually flare at the landing, or I can do any of those things that you're expected to do as a pilot in a normal flight circumstance. So, weigh your options, guys. This is a P-39, no doubt. You can get it like this, or you can get it in a yellow racing. We'll have links for you if you so choose to dig into that. But I'm just gonna tell you this. You are opening up a can of worms. You're gonna have to do a little bit of work to make this thing fly well. And I think the first thing you're gonna wanna do is move this from the middle hole to the bottom hole. That's gonna give you more throw. Mechanically adjust your elevator so that you get almost an automatic lifting effect, or you will have trouble lifting and rolling on takeoff, okay? Because it's gonna wanna suck itself into the ground. We've seen this before, by the way, on other 400 millimeters. Warbirds, particularly, I can think of the F4U Corsair had a real hard time, and that's a tail dragger, you know, so you'd think that we wouldn't have that problem, but it pulled up and it just, bah. And I think we had a problem with another one not too long ago. But either way, you can definitely hand launch the thing. You can fly it in relatively small spaces, but if you want to call this good enough, so be it. However, definitely not going to be a hobby grade flight experience, and definitely going to be lacking in a lot of arenas in terms of flight controllability that I would really expect at this price point. So anyway, that answers our questions. Hopefully it answers yours. And if you want to see what else we have down on the links, there's tons of them down there, so check them out. And also, if you guys are curious what planes we've done in the past, go to brianphillipsrc.com and you can search by style, you can search by manufacturer. So if you want to see a seaplane that we've done in the past, you can check it out there, and you'll be able to see also at the same time other seaplanes we've done. Or maybe, like say there's like a 402 millimeter warbird that we weren't crazy about, then all of a sudden there was like, say 17 more of them right there. And you watch that video and you're like, boy, you seem to like that one better. I'm just saying it's possible that you might do that if you want to. Or if you just want to buy this amazing, perfect, smallest, cheapest, best plane ever, then you can follow the links in the video description below and help support Brian Phillips RC. Just remember, we warned you. Also, if you want to support us in another way that wouldn't be buying this particular airplane combo, we have links for Patreon, PayPal. You can also join our team and become a member on YouTube, which is pretty cool. And that's a new thing. So we are trying to work out the comments so we can like preferential treatment on comments and things like this. We're still figuring it out. So please give us some grace. I think we're up to like 4 members or something. So that's super exciting. If you're watching this like 2 years, hopefully it's more than 4 by then. Maybe it's not. Maybe we drop back to 3. But either way, we're really excited to have you. If you guys are new members, thank you for being members. Thank you for taking it upon yourself to help support us financially, notwithstanding relationships that we have with these manufacturers. But that being said, keep in mind, guys, the best way to support us is to do the things that you're going to do anyway, which is buy planes like this, maybe not this one, but one like it, and you'll support us in that way. So everybody wins. Manufacturer wins. Brian Phillips RC wins. My 4 kids get some food on their plate. My camera crew gets some food on her plate. And then basically at the end of the day, everybody in that little ecosystem wins. But if you're curious about how this thing comes out of the box, we're doing that next. So stay tuned. Thanks so much, guys, for being here with us. Thanks for watching our long format videos. We don't do shorts here for a reason, because if we could do all this in a short, we would have already done it. And so we hope that you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned. YouTube, we're opening this box right now. Let's see what's in it. It's small. Hopefully it's good. We'll find out though. And that's what we do on this channel, Brian Phillips RC. We open stuff up, we check it out, we see if it's any good. Oh yeah, it's a P-39 Mini. Pretty cool. 402 millimeters. This one's yellow. There's a couple of different colors offered. Wait, which one is this? We got the green one. Okay, so we got the green one, guys, the olive drab. So one's the racer, one's the military livery. This is made by Top RC. Cool feature on this, if you weren't already aware, this will actually work with DSM I should say, but you have to add your own secondary little satellite receiver. So just be aware of that. It will connect to multi-protocol. I think it's 761, V761. And you can also do FHSS via S-Bus, but we'll show you how to do that. Anyway, we've got a manual here. It's not folded. That's always nice. We like to give kudos to the manufacturers that don't fold manuals. Okay, looks like the prop has been pre-broke off on this one. Camera crew, if you want to. Okay, so we have the bottom of the plane here. Very nice. Looks very detailed. Beautiful colors. Wow, you got a lot of detail on this one. Feels kind of heavy though. That's weird. Gorgeous. Really nice looking. Okay, and then we have a spinner here with the little simulated gun. The P-39 had a huge gun that actually went all the way back, and it went through, basically the pilot sit on top of it. Straddled it. Okay, so we have some landing gear points here, 1, 2, and 3 for the nose gear, but where are the landing gear? I guess they must be underneath. While we're at it, I'm gonna go ahead and tap this to get my battery out because I wanna get that charging. So this is a 400 milliamp hour, 1S. Okay, so we're gonna flip this thing upside down. So as you can see, this is what we would call like a ready to run or ready to fly. So you got power, comes with batteries. That's very unusual. Okay, so I'll take it if I can get it. So we'll cut this open, pull out the spare prop bag. As you can see, we get the entire screw-on assembly with self-breakaway prop. Okay, so what I mean by that is this will pop off if you're flying along and you hit the prop on the ground, but this receiver portion is also included on the spare, as well as the detailed spinner, which is really nice. We didn't used to get those in the 400mm Warbird series that we've worked on in the past, so we're gonna go ahead and get this thing charged right now. Oh, look, and they do give you the landing gear, as expected. Squishy, very nice. Hardcore with a soft outside there. It looks really nice. And short and a little bit thicker. So that's good. So we're gonna slide these in real quick and give you guys a quick look at that. Go until it snaps. I'm not hearing the snap. I did not hear the snap on that one. And then we also have a nose gear. Now these nose gears need to go in here or here. Okay, so there's the nose gear. I like wheels up, wheels down flying myself. Listen, I didn't hear a snap. It did not snap. But that actually looks relatively true to scale for a P-39. There is a screw, and the screw is for the nose gear only. So we're gonna go ahead and throw that in, but we gotta get this charger going. So let's go ahead and talk about the charger, and let's talk about this other cable. This goes into the little adapter, and it allows you to plug in. It allows you to plug into another larger receiver. I don't know why they include this. Maybe it's for programming, but either way, we'll put it with the spare prop, okay? Now you do have to provide your own USB charger, so we're done with that. Let's go ahead and charge this battery actually. Now, if you guys have seen our channel before, you'll know that we have lots of batteries and lots of chargers. So let's just talk about how we do this one, okay? So just plug it into this little USB adapter. Comes up with a green light. Excuse me, guys. And as you can see, it goes red when you're charging, which is really nice. I don't like to let my batteries dangle like that because it makes me nervous about the leads. Now, we have set up to charge with our smart chargers and things like this, but that is major overkill. If you're in the echelon of pilot that's gonna fly this type of plane, or let's say you get a handful of these planes and you wanna fly them with your kids or in a small group, maybe it's your club or something like this, the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to just basically get yourself one of these little battery chargers. And then you can charge a ton of little batteries like this really quick and easy, okay? It's like this one came from the Zero. So plug it into the Molex connector. Click, scroll in. This is a 400 milliamp hour, so 0.4 amp hours. Press and hold, and then it starts. As you can see, it's charging, okay? So we'll just use this interchangeably because they are the same battery, okay? But rest assured the chargers do charge, so we'll go ahead and show that. Ooh, in fact, we usually like to show this just so you can see that there is a way to demonstrate. There is a way to demonstrate that a battery is getting charged, and that is by using one of these little tools, okay? It's a little voltage alarm. It's got this balanced plug, so you can go 1 through 8S. So in this case, I'll show you with another battery, okay? So we'll just kind of slide that in. It's not powerful enough with 1S to actually show, to beep, but it's gonna be powerful enough to actually do this. So as you can see, it's showing our individual cell count, and then it's gonna show the total. So 4.2 volts, and then it clarifies further to 4.17, which of course would round to 4.2. The nominal voltage on that is gonna be an accumulation of each of the 1 through 8 cells, okay? Then you can set an alarm to chime when you go below a certain threshold. In my case, I think I have mine set to 3.3. Okay, so this little screw is gonna help keep your nose gear in, okay? So you can put this forward or you can put it backward. I'm gonna choose to put mine forward. And then this little screwdriver, it's extremely small, is gonna allow you to stick this screw in. The camera crew is gonna move the camera until she can see. And I am going to continue to do this. Okay, so as you can see, we've got that plugged in. There is something here, I don't know what is accessible there, but we're gonna show you right now if it is accessible. Yeah, it's accessible to the motor. So that's really handy if you have to get in there and fix stuff. You see how that gets pulled out? You just kind of squeeze the sides and it pops right on out. So I put the bigger side in first, press this down and in, but note that the paint will come off if you're not careful. Also, there's a singular screw here. I believe that allows access under the wing, and then you'll have access to plug things in. You see this little gap here? See this gap here? This gap is gonna be where you can access inside of there, okay? So we'll go ahead and get this thing in the air just as quick as possible. So extras, screwdriver, cable, adapter, okay, with that different style there. And then of course the extra prop and prop saver. So that's pretty cool, and we've seen that in the past. Now, one thing that's unique about these new 400mm warbirds is that we do have a larger controller than we've seen on some of the others. We also have labeled expert, mid, and beginner, as well as a one-touch aerobatics. Pull down, it'll do a loop. Press and roll, it's gonna roll to the left. Press and roll, it's gonna roll to the right. Down and out, calibrate your gyro, if I remember right. And that would be when it's sitting on the ground with its landing gear on, in my best estimation is when I would do that. Then there's also a one-touch U-turn. I do not use this feature. I do not suggest you use it either. You take off, it learns the position it's sitting when you take off, and then it turns 180 degrees around. Stupidest feature ever. Hate it, don't depend on it. It will probably just lose your plane worse than you are already losing your plane. If you ever get into trouble with one of these planes, because they have auto leveling in beginner, meaning when you let go of the sticks and you shut the throttle down, it's just gonna glide around and stay level. And what happens is people have flyaways with this type of aircraft because they let it get into a thermal and it just goes up and up and up. And they're like, I don't know what to do because it limits your bank angle down and it limits your bank angle up and it limits your roll authority. And so what you have to do is, in such a case, you put it to expert and you just push down on the elevator and that sucker will go straight down and you nosedive. And when it gets close to the ground, put it back to beginner, whoop. You can actually fly down with this. You just have to put it to expert. Now, that being said, our experience with these planes is that they don't fly well enough in expert to actually fly. Now, I say that in the 450mm warbird size, we have had a worse time. So this is a 450, this is a 402, okay? Both top flight, you can see the difference in size. It's not drastic, but there is a pretty big difference, okay? We have had better luck in the 400mm size, which is actually 402. And for that reason, we continue to just tell it the way it is. If you guys want to read through the manual, Top RC has manuals. They are largely useless. Let's just scan through this really quick. Okay, that is V761 if you're doing open protocol. This is where you would plug in your DSM. This is where you plug in your S-Bus. Now remember, on this particular plane, there's no ready access by pulling off the top, okay? On the P-47, there's a little hatch you can pull out. Or excuse me, on the P-51 so far. And then the P-47, I believe it's accessible. But on each of these planes, because they have different body types, you're gonna have different access to get inside. This one actually has a screw, so I think you just like remove that and it comes out. So anyway, hopefully we've answered all your questions in this Unbox Build radio setup. This multi-protocol does not require any additional fixtures to set up. So if you have like a jumper, T8 SG that we've used in the past, You just have to set up this protocol V61 or V761. They also tell you the return, the activate, the flip, the calibrate, gyro, which is actually like your setting for your mode, and then aileron, elevator, throttle, and rudder. So they tell you what the channels are. That is the best part of this plane in combination with DSM and S-Bus, because you can fly it on your NX10, your NX8, your DXS, your DXE, which, to be honest with you, you're not that much better with a DXE than you are with this. I mean, you are a little bit because the gimbals are better, but it's not a huge drastic improvement. And that, I just want to beat this into our heads collectively. These little servos, they only have so much resolution, and you are never going to put enough lipstick on a pig to make this thing fly like the FMS Ranger or fly like the 1.1 meter T-28 from Horizon, which is also made by FMS, ironically enough, or like the Slow Ultra Stick or the P-47, also made by FMS, or the J11. It's just never gonna do the same hobby grade experience. But that's why you're here at Brian Phillips RC, because I'm gonna tell you what it does do, and then I'm gonna show you doing it. And you've already seen it at the beginning of this video. What we're all about here is kind of like truth in RC, because the thing is, we've had so many people that have come out and said fastest, best, cheapest, smallest, greenest, silverest. It's just a waste of your time. It's disingenuous. It's an insult to your intelligence. We know that some of these planes are good, but I also want you to understand that within the scope of this price point, is this plane any good? Or would you be better off to just get like that F-15 that's 160 bucks, I think, right now. That F-15 is behind the FMS, okay? If you look at the price point, you have to take that into consideration when you determine value of an aircraft. And that's really something that we don't do a lot of on this channel, because we don't want to make a value judgment about money and about finances for you, because we don't know your situation. Maybe you're a billionaire. Maybe you borrowed money to buy a donut this morning. I don't know where you guys sit and how you value money. But what I do know is valuing airplanes and the skill it requires to fly, the quality of the auto leveling, the overall flight performance. That's what we do on Brian Phillips RC. And so we hope you guys see that, and we hope you can help to accomplish your goals within RC, because you watch us and you say, hey, I can get a lot of value out of watching somebody that knows a little bit more, that's had 500 or 600 planes, that knows what's out there. What you see in this living room, by the way, is just here. There's also, you know, hundreds more downstairs, and in closets, and in closets, and in more closets, and downstairs. Yeah. It's like 2,000 square feet of space taken up by airplanes, guys. We love airplanes. I have flown so many airplanes, and I love all of them for different reasons, except for the ones I really don't love. So I hope this one is amazing. But I can tell you this, if it's not amazing, we're gonna be here to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And I want you guys to understand that when we come out here and we work with a company like Top Flight or Horizon or FMS or, you know, Hobby Zone or whatever it is, it doesn't matter what company it is. What we do is we answer to you, the audience, and not to some Chinese peddler over here, okay? Not that we have a big problem with Chinese peddling products that they make. They have the warehousing space, they have the labor at the right cost, they have the components at the right cost, they have the right educational level for their labor force, they have the access to, you know, the materials, they have less regulatory problems to deal with over there that we do deal with here in the States. So it's like, I never want to beat them up for making what I love doing, except if it's done in a dishonest way, and then I'm going to beat them up fairly, meaning I'm going to say, hey, you know, this thing's more expensive than other options. And that's what we like to do here, is we bring the truth in RC. But that being said, remember, if we're working with them, we're working with them on a commission basis. So you're like, how? So you're gonna tell me the truth and then try to sell stuff to me? Yeah, because if I tell you the truth and then, you know, I'm like, hey, it's not that great, and you go ahead and buy it, we make a commission, I sleep at night. I sleep well, I sleep like a baby. And for that reason, I snore, and so my wife can't sleep.
Right.
So it's a wonderful experience for me. So anyway, I just want you guys to understand how this works. And yes, we do earn small commissions when you buy these things from the links in the video description below. And that's how we make money on the YouTube channel, and we keep this little teeny tiny minuscule business running. Because we love the hobby and we want it to be there. And if we just did this with one small company or small vendor, we would not be of that much value. Because even when we were back doing this on our own, just like Lone Rangers, first of all, it was extremely expensive. It was very hard to get any traction. And we just didn't have enough reach, and we didn't have enough product. So we do have to find and strike the balance between bad-mouthing China or bad-mouthing company XYZ versus ABC. We want to make sure we bring the truth, and we want you guys to make up your own mind and then spend accordingly. Now, that being said, we're gonna fly this thing and the sun is in a perfect spot, so I gotta stop jabbering, guys. We hope you enjoyed this experience. We know a lot of you guys are becoming members on YouTube. Thank you. YouTube is super happy that you did that. We're happy you did that. But at the end of the day, there's other ways too. If you don't wanna buy this particular plane because you're not crazy about it, maybe it didn't fly good enough for your taste, or it's a little bit too expensive for the value you're gonna get, that's fine, we get that. But I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what this thing is worth, because what I think it's worth is probably different than what you think. But I can tell you if there's a better competitive offering, okay? Now, that being said, if you buy this thing from the links, you do help support us. But if you buy that one from the links, you still support us too. If you buy that one from the links, you support us. If you buy the leaf blower from the links, you support us. We don't really care what you buy from the links, so long as you buy from the links. It's the easiest way to support us. Everybody wins. The manufacturers think, hey, these guys are selling our product, when really, we're just telling you the truth about it. And you guys are getting the no BS Brian Phillips method of explaining stuff. And then you get the value out of that. You can extract it. You can say, you know what? I don't want that one. I'm gonna wait for the next one. Okay, great, fine. We have accomplished our goals. But at the end of the day, if you do decide you wanna buy this, it does help us. Also, we have PayPal, Patreon, and Super Thanks. So 3 different ways. If you're overseas, we know some of you guys that support us on Patreon are from New Zealand and Australia and places where there's just not really logistics, and so we can't market some of these things, but sometimes you can get these when they're coming straight from China. So definitely check out the links. Also, the other thing is when we talk price, we try not to talk price because prices change constantly. And what China loves to do is they will market a product like this, and then when one of them gets good traction, guess what they do? They jack the price in a truly capitalist way. And so if you do like it, get on it, order the thing. Also, secondly, the big problem is if you like it and you don't order it, there's a good chance it's gonna be out of stock by the time you wanna order it. That being said, check our links. There might be an alternative if you're watching this in 4 years and you really, really want it. And we'll try to help you out. So leave those in the comments below. If you're one of our Patreons, easiest way to get a hold of us is through Patreon right now for comments. We are implementing comments through membership status. I'm trying to figure it out.
We're working on it.
Give us time, guys.
It's new.
We're gonna figure it out. So anyway, hopefully we answered all your questions. Top RC makes a bunch of these little airplanes. It's not just the P-39. There's a whole line of these planes. So check out the links. You can go out there and check it out and see which one you like, and then be watching for the videos as we work our way through them. We're gonna try to do as many as we can do so you can have a potentially side-by-side comparison. But at the end of the day, we want you guys to make up the mind. And when it's garbage, you can call it out. When it's great, you can call it out too. And leave that in the comments below. Let us know what you think of these little planes. Let us know about your positive experience and your negative experience, and whether or not you think it was overall worth it, because this is not gonna teach you to fly, okay? It's gonna give you a confidence boost while you're learning to fly, in addition to something bigger that's easier to fly, truthfully. That being said, my kids have flown these on the way to victoriously learning to fly.
Yes.
Truth. But I don't suggest you learn to fly on this particular plane, even though you could hypothetically, in a pinch, if this was the only option, you can't actually learn to fly. I just wouldn't suggest it, because these things tend to have idiosyncrasies that make them not fly like their big brothers and sisters. And I would suggest that you're gonna have a better flight experience on a hobby grade platform. toy grid.
It's a low
hobby grade
consequence stepping stone. For our son that was scared of screwing up,
Yep.
he could crash it a bunch, the prop pop off, you put it back on, he flew.
And I didn't have to fix it.
Right.
Which was a big problem for my son because he likes to get things just right before he wants to dive in.
Yep.
And so because of that, his propensity is to just not try. Let's look at the charger just so you can prove that the charger's working. You see it goes to green when I unplug. This is the battery that came with it. Okay. So let's do this real quick. Remember, that's rounded, so 4.12. Okay, so this came at about 3.8 or 3.9. Now it's at 4.12, so we'll just let that charge. Why don't we just we'll just grab the 0 battery. It's exactly the same, just so you guys know. Same size, same weight, same shape. It's gonna be no problem. There's no difference, and it's fully charged. So we'll see you at the flight field. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button. We try to do as much as we can in still long format video, but we don't do shorts here necessarily. We might occasionally do a short, but our shorts are just like few and far between, scattered out in the abyss of long format, which YouTube hates, but you guys love. So make sure you smash the like button. When you're subscribing, click the bell for notifications and you will be notified of new content as it arrives. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. So much more from Brian Phillips RC. All right, folks, we forgot to measure it, so we're gonna do that right now. We have the amazing Taylor digital scale here. It's measuring in grams. We have tricycle, which makes this easy. We'll just drop it on there. 70 grams all up weight, 69 grams all up weight. If you wanna shine that camera down there so they can actually see the number, that'd be super handy. So 69 or 70 grams. And that being said, guys, that's with the battery. That's not without a satellite receiver, but obviously satellite receiver is probably only gonna be like 2 or 3 grams if you decided to set it up with your NX10 or NX8 or something similar to that. So that's all we've got for you today. Thanks guys for watching. We hope you'll be back for more action from Brian Phillips RC.